and welcome back to Nomadic Nutrition. If you're new here, my name is Shannon and I'm a registered associate nutritionist. This year, I decided in January to go vegan, just to try some things out and help spice up my cooking life as well. Since going vegan about 4 weeks ago, I've learned a few tips and tricks on the way that I want to share with all of you. So here are the 8 things that helped me survive Veganuary. Let's get started. So when thinking of ideas for this video, the first thing that came to mind was protein shakes. I know it seems pretty simple and maybe kind of random, but plant-based protein shakes have really helped me on my journey to becoming vegan, just as some sort of meal substitute when you don't have time to prepare your meals. You know, I think it's quite normal for life to get really busy, and even if you're not vegan, planning meals ahead of time is not always feasible. And so when you find yourself in those situations, something like this can seriously go a long way. Now, I know it's not the most cost-effective and neither is it the best for the planet, but something like this you purchase for the convenience aspect. And this brand, Koya Protein, is one that I really enjoy. There's another brand that I tried that was called Remedy Organics. Those are pretty good too. Something where you can look at the bag, there's not too many added sugars, there's a good amount of protein in there, some other vitamins, but that's not really why I'm purchasing this, right? I'm purchasing this when I have literally nothing else made for the day. I'm running off to work, but rather than starving myself or spending my money on the poor options available in the area, especially now since you're going vegan or maybe you're trying to go vegan, there may not be a lot of options around you where you work. So something like this is really gonna go a long way. The second thing I put was keeping your fridge and pantry full of your staples. So for example, maybe before when my staples would have been some chicken broth, butter, milk for my coffee, etc. Now I'm going to be filling that and replacing that with veggie broth, vegan butter, plant-based milks, etc., etc. So just making sure your fridge and pantry are filled with things that you need to make your go-to recipes. Whether that's pasta, beans, maybe it's a nice soup base, celery, onions and carrots, whatever it is for you, make sure that your fridge and pantry are filled with those things at all times so you don't go hungry, and also make sure that you can substitute all of your normal animal products with plant products. And third is to stay inspired. This one is pretty obvious and actually what got me into going vegan in the first place. Using things like Pinterest, or I even picked up this plant-based recipes. This was even before I decided to go vegan and was kind of like a Kickstarter, like, hey, I can make this a full-time thing. You know, there's just pictures. Oops, see, I had some things bookmarked there. Having pictures that you can see to get your appetite going for plant-based meals is really going to help. It at least helped me a ton. Things like recipe books, magazines, Pinterest, like I said, are really great ways to get inspired and just get excited for this new lifestyle that you're going on, even if it's just for a month. And you don't always have to follow these to a T, obviously. It's just there to serve as inspiration and get you excited about vegetables and grains again and whole foods without feeling like you're being so restrictive. Try and think of your diet as being even more inclusive than it was before. I know that sounds kind of strange because you're taking away animal products, but trust me, if you just find some really good food inspiration, it will go a long way. Okay, 4 is to be prepared, prepare your meals ahead of time. Now, I know my first tip was protein shakes. That was the one thing that really helped me survive Veganuary, but another thing was also just preparing things ahead of time. I never really did this before just because, you know, I don't really know why I didn't do this before, but I didn't do this before. And just, for example, quinoa, I know it's a great grain. I know if I pair it with some kind of legume, it's gonna create a full protein. I don't really feel like cooking it offhand all the time. So I just cook a Tupperware of quinoa. It's super easy. I believe the ratio is 1 part quinoa, 2 parts water. But just having things ready to go to eat is going to be a big help. What was also good for me about being vegan is I'm used to cooking for 2 people, so when I went vegan and I was the only one to go vegan, I always had leftovers, and that was incredibly helpful. So if you just find yourself some Tupperware, whenever you cook, make sure you're cooking at least 2 servings. You'll always have lunch for the next day, dinner for the next day, and it's not going to add to the burden of having to cook fresh meals every single day. So another thing I did was make breakfast ready to go for the next day. So I've shown you in another video that I really like my oatmeal pots. So what I would do is just empty the oatmeal packet into the bowl already, add my granola, have my fruit. You know, fruit doesn't take any preparation, so the fruit and the milk I would add would be still in the fridge. And I would have my tea kettle ready to go. So all I had to do was fire up the stovetop in the morning, not even thinking about it. I would even have my cup of tea with the tea bag already in it. All I would have to do was turn that on, go and finish washing my face or whatever it is, get back to the kitchen, pour the hot water in, and there you go, breakfast, super quick and ready. Ready to go for me. It took very little thought and very little time, so that's awesome. Another thing you could do is like prepare yourself a fresh fruit salad, just chopping things up. Like I said, cooking the quinoa ahead of time, doing all those things, you know, the night before, the day before, when you have some spare minutes on you. Adding in just preparation ahead of time is just going to save you so much stress. My 5th tip is to meal plan. This is really going to help you, because what I used to do when I went to the grocery store was just go in and let the food talk to me. Whatever I was craving, I would just pick up, and it's not really cost effective, and I just feel like it becomes a waste of time when you're not really planning ahead. And you know, you don't have to be so strict with yourself, but just having a general guideline of the ingredients in your fridge and pantry is really going to help your wallet and your brain when it comes to figuring out what to eat that night. So some of the questions I wrote down that I would ask myself was, what do you already have? I would write myself a list here, like I have it here. I know you can't read it, but I would write myself a list of all the things I had. So I had 1 carrot, 1 avocado, 2 corns, 1 bell pepper, olives. So I would just write down all the things that basically fresh produce that I had to use at the ready in the house. And this is another way food inspiration can come into hand, is you could just look, I know I have these olives in the fridge that I haven't been able to use or figure out how to use. See, that was one of those purchases I bought on a limb and I have no idea how to cook them yet. I can look up on Pinterest or literally even in Google just olive recipes, and you're going to find so many different blogs. They don't even have to be vegan blogs, and you can go ahead and substitute those meats or dairies for vegan products and make a really awesome olive recipe that you may not have even tried before. So I wrote the I have list, and then I would go ahead, find some inspiration online of the things I wanted to eat, or some things in a magazine of things I wanted to eat, and then I would write another list of things I needed to buy to make those recipes. And you know, I don't really like buying a ton of new things if I'm only going to use them once, so I would try and find recipes that were as basic as possible that I knew I was going to enjoy, and sometimes, you know, it doesn't hurt to try something new. Yeah, so I wrote in here, what recipes have been piquing your interest? What kind of cuisine or flavors are you in the mood for? So let's say I had olives, but I was really interested in making let's say an Asian dish. I'm sure you could find ways to reuse these olives in an Asian way. Maybe you can put some Asian flavors in there, whether that's curry or sesame or whatever it is. You will be able to find it on the internet. I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of you do this already with your normal routines, trying to figure out what to eat for the week. But again, I feel like it's a running theme throughout this whole list, is just try and prepare yourself as much as possible to make the transition easier. My 6th tip is to keep snacks at hand, especially if you're living with someone else. Seeing them eat something that you're not allowed to eat is really going to just test your self-discipline. And rather than hurting yourself by watching your partner eat some ice cream sandwiches, have some things at the ready. My guilty pleasure or comfort food is ramen. Yes, I'm sure some of you are barfing right now. This reminds you of your college days. You're like, I will be perfectly fine if I never eat Maruchan again in my life. Well, I can't say that my taste buds have developed as much as yours have, maybe. So yeah, this happens to be vegan, the soy sauce flavor. I know there's also a flavor called Oriental that happens to be vegan, and this soon veggie noodle soup is also vegan. I believe contains wheat and soy. Yeah. So this also happens to be vegan. I'm sure a lot of you know by now, Oreos are also vegan. I showed you before those corn cakes that I've been really enjoying. Popcorn is great. Any kind of snacks, even there's a ton of vegan ice creams out right now. Whatever is your craving, find the vegan version of that, because more than likely there will be one. Even vegan chocolate chip cookies, look, I don't want to brag, but there is a cookie place by me that makes better than the normal version vegan chocolate chip cookies. So just find, maybe there's a bakery around you that has vegan options. I mean, this is really a time to try and explore new things. So whatever snacks you need to get you through this month or this year, whatever it is, get them. So ramen happens to be my snack of choice. Another thing is tea. I love having tea. I know it's not necessarily like a snack for some people, but maybe if you don't actually want to eat more food, or you're saying to yourself, I'm really not even hungry right now, I just need something to, please my palate. Tea is also a great option. Peppermint tea, green tea, whatever. This one is Earl Grey tea. And if you add oat milk to it, it really does taste kind of like a cookie. Maybe that's just me, but that's what I like. Oh yeah, and even cereal is a great snack option. I didn't even think that. It's a bit sugary, but again, snack is not, you don't eat snacks for the nutritive value. You eat them because it makes you feel good. So, whatever it is, find the vegan option that's right for you. The 7th tip I have for you guys is to give yourself a deadline, or just challenge yourself, period. So one thing that is really helped me go through this month of Veganuary is having a deadline. I only challenge myself to 1 month of veganism, which means that in these past 4 weeks, it's been okay to make it the transition, because I know starting February 1st, I've not held myself to an unreasonable standard that I know I can't keep. If I said at January 1st, at the beginning of the year, you know what, Shannon, you're gonna try vegan and you're gonna try it forever. You're just gonna go vegan one day, quit all animal products cold turkey. More than likely, I may have already quit, because I would have said to myself, you know what, this just isn't for me. I'm just gonna, go back to my old ways. When you only have a month, you guys can understand. I don't know the exact psychology behind it, but basically holding yourself to a standard that you can keep has been super helpful in helping me survive Veganuary. So whatever you think your limit is, I really encourage you all to just challenge yourself to try, and maybe it's just 1 week of being vegan. Maybe it's just, I want to cook one good vegan meal. Whatever it is, I really encourage you guys to just try it out, because of the widely reported health benefits of plant-based eating. And then the 8th, which was my last tip for surviving Veganuary, is to let people know you're going vegan. The last thing you want is for your mom to come over to your house with your favorite chicken noodle soup, and for you to either have to eat the chicken soup and give up on your month-long challenge of being vegan, or tell your mom, I'm sorry, I actually can't eat that right now. Let people know that you're going vegan so that you don't get tempted, so that the people around you don't unintentionally tempt you. I think this seems pretty obvious for any diet change, is to let people know what you're doing, but I do understand feeling strange about saying, oh, I'm going vegan, blah, 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 because people may not know how to take it. They might get weirdly upset with you, or maybe think you're being a little snooty for being vegan, because you know all the connotations that come with that. But at least for me, letting people know, just so everyone's on the same page, helps cut out unnecessary, temptations, or maybe rejecting your mom's hard-cooked meal, whatever it is. So those are my 8 tips that helped me survive Veganuary. I really hope you enjoyed this video. I surely enjoyed doing this month of veganism. Again, like I said, I really encourage everyone to try it out. You're going to find your own things that help you. Maybe your things are just finding all those meat substitutes to help you slowly wean off the meat taste that you crave. Maybe it's staying away from meat alternatives, period, because you don't even, whatever it is. Maybe it's watching a ton of vegan documentaries or doing lots of research. Whatever it is that helps you, please leave it in the comments below. I'd be really interested to know, and I'm sure a lot of other people would be interested to know what has helped you in your transitioning. But yeah, I can't say what I'm going to do for the future. I really have no idea. It's not February 1st yet, but what I will say is I learned a lot in this month, and I'm definitely going to be continuing a lot of the practices that I did before Veganuary, after Veganuary. Thank you everyone for watching. I wish you a fantastic rest of January, and until I see you next time, happy eating.